Hello, intro to stats class. Today we are going to learn about confounding. Yesterday we learned about response variable, explanatory variable, treatment, and subjects. Today it's all about confounding. So for that we were discussing about yesterday a case of Nova Southeastern University, Florida, where the study was about the effectiveness of learning instruction, if it is online or if it is in classroom, which one is more effective. So it's again the same thing. So basically what we learned yesterday, we learned that if we have setting of instruction, like whether it's online versus classroom, and we were checking the impact of that on the learning. So we learn that it causes test scores after course. And we discuss one thing, that online versus classroom, that was our explanatory variable, and the result or outcome was our response. But what happens, it's not always the same. Sometimes this test score or response variable is also affected by student preparation. So there is another variable working in background, student preparation, and that variable we called lurking variable. So basically we talk about that explanatory variable. It is affecting the response variable, and it's not always the one acting alone. Sometimes in background there is another variable which is affecting the response variable, that's called lurking variable. Maybe the students are well prepared, they are having better resources, or they are having good head start. So that could be one of the reason. And when the study was done, so they figured out that their average scores on test on the course material given before the courses started was 40.70 against only 27.64 for the classroom students, and online they were doing better. So online students, they had already a big head start, so maybe that may be one of the reason, or maybe how they were preparing. So there could be several factors. So based on that, we're going to define these things. We're going to talk about confounding, we're going to talk about lurking variables. So let's first discuss about the scenario I just explained you. Now this is not going to be called, we cannot assume it was not an experiment. Why it is not an experiment? Because experiment always have a treatment imposed over there. So because no treatment imposed, the treatment is not given. The students, they themselves chose the learning setting. Students themselves chose the learning settings. So it was not something was imposed by a person who was trying to study. It is not considered as an experiment. So next thing, we're going to just summarize these definitions here. So first thing we're going to summarize is lurking variable. So we start from here, lurking variable. And what is lurking variable? We can simply now say it is a variable that has an important effect on the relationship among the variable in a study. They have an impact, but is not one of the explanatory variable. So it is going to impact, but it's not one of the explanatory which is affecting your response variable. So now what is, if we understood what is confounded variable, so what is, we learned what is lurking. So let's write down the definition for confounded variables. And what is confounded variables? It's basically, they will be in like pair, or there could be many, they will be confounded together. So two variables are confounded when their effects on a response variable cannot be distinguished from each other. So if we cannot distinguish, so it can be like if we are having two confounded variables, so it means either they can be explanatory or they can be lurking. It can be one of them. So this is all about confounding and lurking variable. Now they have an example of gastric freezing for a patient. So that we are going to discuss in next video, example 3.2. Thank you.